Hi, it's Chris and Jules, and I'm here today with Robert, the naturalist, on board the Sapphire Princess, and he has agreed to talk with us today.
Yeah.
Robert has been entertaining us in the theater on our sea days for enrichment lectures, and he was gracious enough to speak with us about his job and what life is on board. I'm going to ask him a little bit about his history and how he got involved in this.
Sure.
So, I learned today that you first got interested in nature when you were a beaver.
Yeah,
Canada.
a little guy, and I made the transition from beavers into cubs, and it was wonderful. And you know, the Scouts as an organization are great. I was never somebody who was after the badges, though. I always liked just being part of the group, you know. And I was a little guy, and very quickly made the transition over to junior forest wardens, actually, and red uniforms, very Canadian kind of thing, and. Junior forest wardens, everybody has a job, you know, and it's you're the person who chops kindling, or you're the person that gathers bark, or you're the person that makes sure everybody has something to eat, you know. And I really enjoyed that as a kid. I've been fortunate enough to have many mentors in my life. A fellow named Ken Farr, back in the Red Deer, my mom, my dad, that were amazing, that would show me wild places. So, I love that stuff.
Cool. I was Brownie.
No kidding, really?
Yeah, we mostly did everything in the gym. But yeah, we learned all kinds of things about the outdoors.
Well, my little beaver troop, we met at the St. Elizabeth Seton School in Red Deer, Alberta, and we had this stuffed beaver. Whoever hunted a beaver had stuffed it, and we would bring it out and be part of this whole thing. Actually, my missus, she's a scout leader, and recently here got her Order of the Arrow. So there's I tend to get along well with people that are scouts and outdoorsy types.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're a naturalist.
Yes.
So you went to school, formally you went to school and got your education in science?
Yeah, so I studied
assuming?
geology, I studied education, and a little bit of philosophy.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, philosophy for fun.
So that's why you're always talking about Aristotle.
Waxing
right?
poetically. I feel like it's this very subtle recruitment for the Department of Philosophy at the University of Alberta. Go Golden Bears. And pandas. But I think it's interesting, you know, from the background of philosophy, you can learn not only to think about things, but to be a critical thinker. And I think in today's day and age, especially when we have a lot of toxic news, we'll say, you know, whether it's on Facebook or on TV, becoming somebody who can understand the gems from the lumps of coal is a good thing. I also learned to appreciate aesthetics. I learned to become a bit of a stoic and apply that to the way that I go about enjoying the environment. Enjoying and stoicism are kind of oil and water, but I think it allowed me a deeper appreciation for what I did.
We're going to tie this into cruising. Okay, so one of the things I like about cruising on Princess is that they have these enrichment lectures, especially on the more exotic itineraries or like non-Caribbean itineraries. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they do.
Yeah,
like on the longer ones for sure, they bring on lecturers, lecturers per se, or someone who does talks.
We're massaging it away from the idea of lecturing.
Mm-hmm.
Now I am but a lowly contractor, so I'm speaking a bit on Princess' behalf, but the idea is the enrichment program will make your day more enjoyable. Mm-hmm. It'll stimulate your mind. It'll give you a chance to attach significance to things around you. And it isn't just nature. There are people that talk about history, they talk about poetry, they'll talk about current news, affairs, that kind of stuff. And it's really a lovely surprise when somebody new in the program comes out, and they can bring not only their expertise, but the things that they're really enthusiastic about.
You're going to be talking about nature, and you're talking about the different animals that we're going to see on this cruise. Well, right now, or he did talk about them because we're on day 11 out of 14. But it was really interesting because we learned about penguins and whales and different birds, which we did see. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of cool because you mentioned them. One that stuck out to me, and this has been on my mind for a long time, is the albatross. How do birds fly? Like, they know how to fly around wherever it is they're going. But they're flying these long distances over the oceans. Where do they sleep?
They sleep on the wing. So a lot of times, pelagic birds that live on the ocean, when they're flying, for them to, in the middle of a storm, say, sit down would mean death. They could not just sit on the surface of the water. They'd be splashed, It'd be terrible. They couldn't take off again. So they soar. They stay out. They have a little ligament in their shoulder that kind of clicks over, keeping their wings open. To deal with sleep, they only shut down half of their brain at one time. And so you can imagine this when you first get up in the morning and you're a little bit lethargic and you just need that cup of coffee, that kind of dopiness. That's very much what the birds are like. And then they finish cleaning out. Sleep is cleaning out metabolic waste in your brain. They finish on that side, they switch over, and then they just go about their day, and they're active, they're fishing. If you're a gull, you're pooping a lot. That's what they're good at. It's great. Yeah.
I was always wondering about that.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know about the rest of the people on this ship, but the big draw for me in South America in terms of wildlife is the penguins.
Yeah.
And this is my third time in South America and my second time around the Cape. This section from Buenos Aires to Santiago or San Antonio, Chile. But I really wanted to see the king penguins. And I got to see it this time in the Falkland Islands, which was like this super dream come true. And you mentioned the March of the Penguins today, and that was the first time I realized I have to go see those penguins one day. And I mean, like, when did that documentary come out? I don't know if you remember, but
15 years ago, something like that. It's a while.
Yeah, but that, to me, that was like so exciting and a real highlight of this vacation. But I have to say, every day, one day after the next, every day's been unbelievable, and it's something to see. But anyway, for you, when you came on this South American itinerary, was there a certain animal that you really wanted to see?
I'm a big time penguin guy. For me, I keep saying my favorite penguin is, and it's usually whatever penguin I just saw, but overall my favorite penguin are the Magellanic penguins. They're just so tough, and they're going around, and they're all over South America on the southern half. The chin straps are also hold a special spot in my heart. They're the ones that have little tie strap under their chins. They're lovely little ones.
Where do you find the chin strap penguins?
Further south. So there are some that are on Stanley, near the city of Stanley in the Falkland Islands, or Las Malvinas. You'll also find them on the southern tip, and then certainly if you go down to Antarctica, on the peninsula, on the banana belt they call it, there's all sorts. There's a place called Deception Island, where 70% of the world's chin straps will have nests.
Oh, really?
It's an amazing place.
Oh, did you get out to Magdalena Island to see the
Magellanic
penguin?
That's right.
Have you been there?
I have been there. I didn't.
60,000 pairs? Was it 60,000 pairs or 60,000?
It's the island itself is really big. The park that I went to last year was this little sort of gravel show. We went out there and we saw probably 5,000, maybe 4,000. Enough that if we were watching a football game, Taylor Swift would be invited. That's how big this was. It was great. The noise is unbelievable. And with some of the species, the smell is also unbelievable. Luckily for you, because you love kings don't smell terrible.
Oh, I didn't notice any.
They have, they're very vocal.
Yeah.
They're kind of going like that, and the babies squeak, and mom comes over and feeds them. It's wonderful.
It is something to see, for sure. Are the males the one that are taking care of the chicks after they're born, or is that the females? You know when you see the little baby chicks and they're covered up with the kind of like that belly?
Yeah.
What, is that the males
So
or
it all starts with, both parents. I suppose both parents, as we say to the younger cruisers, fall in love, and they conceive a chick. The chick is laid as an egg on mama's feet, right? Dad comes along, they transfer the egg over. Right? So mom gets a chance to go out to the ocean to feed, to replenish her resources in her body. Also go have a margarita. When she comes back, dad switches over. So the parents go back and forth. Once the baby hatches, they take turns keeping the baby warm underneath their belly. There's a little, for the kings, and especially for the emperors, there's a little almost bald spot on the bottom of their belly that they put, and they squish it against the head of the chick. And that's how you lose most of your heat to your head. That's how they keep them warm. So they're feeding, the chick is growing. Eventually the chick becomes more independent, runs off the feet, runs around, and then starts going through a natural hair loss process where they lose all their down, and they sort of look like punk rockers with mohawks, just sort of fluffing everywhere. And then they become juveniles, and then adults, and then they become part of the great dance.
Actually, I saw some of those brown penguins, the babies, chicks, and
they're huge.
Photos, they don't look like as cute, but in real life they're really cute, especially when the wind's blowing through their feathers. So this is the cool part. I went to Naturalist island, so nobody lives there, right? It's just penguins and birds, or does
I
anybody
think
live?
there might be some support staff there, like ranger staff out there, but I'm not sure. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
So, because I saw some, like, maybe it looked like firewood there when we arrived, but I didn't see any dwellings or anything. I just found a duck, so we'll get to that later. Sneaky. It was kind of cool because it's just birds on this island, and you go down a path and you get to see them all because they don't want humans walking over wherever they're living. But you're really close. You could be within 2 feet of them. But I was watching their behavior, and I noticed that you get these penguins and they go grab some grass, and, like, you know, it would be in their beaks, and then they go directly to their, like, little hole where they live, right? I didn't see any of them eating the actual grass.
So it sounds like if they're going into a little hole or a little burrow, it sounds like you're just grabbing a Magellanic, the ones with the stripes.
Yeah, they were
and
yep.
So the penguins by whole are fish eaters.
Okay.
They like to eat flesh. So in their burrows, though, there's bedding. You always want to change with the bedding. Penguins have a problem, especially burrowing penguins, with penguin fleas. So in order to change all that stuff out, mom or dad will come by and sort of reweave that. They'll make more insulation in there. They want to make a nice, comfortable spot for both of the chicks to grow up in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't know. I thought that was their food. Another thing I saw, which I found interesting, was there was this pair of penguins, and they came out of the hole, and they were hopping around. And so I was like, I don't know why, but I assumed that for each hole that was their home, their specific home. But I noticed them, and they're like nosing around at the other ones, and then they would go, and then they'd like stick their little head in there, and then they would not really go in, but they, you know, they just like poking around, and then off they went.
So
What's up with that? Do you know anything about that?
If they're very young, they don't care whose burrow they go in sometimes. They just know they want to get fed. And if some mama or some dad's face is here, they're going to stick their beak up and they're going to try to go in. They're also very curious. When they're at that stage where they've say for the Magellanics, they've got that silvery gray kind of fluff on them. They've got the energy of an adult, but they have the brains of a 2-year-old. So they're curious. They're looking at things. They want to go poke in. And oftentimes when they poke their head in, there's an angry mom going, "Hey, you're not one of my babies. Go away." You know, kind of thing.
Okay.
They're exploring. they're learning about the world. Think about a puppy. A puppy learns about the world by chewing everything. You know, and the penguins are sticking their head in. They're poking around, and then they go back to mom and they get fed, or they go back to dad, and it's great.
I found this was a fascinating itinerary. I love it. This is my second time here, like I said. Third time in South America. I went to Alaska this last summer, cruising, of course, with Princess. You mentioned you were on the Royal Princess in Alaska, which I've also been on the Royal, actually.
I love that ship. It's my favorite ship of the Princess.
I love the Royal Princess as well. But the Sapphire is better for one reason, which I'll get to.
The Sapphire was my very first ship for Princess back in 2008. I did a little bit in Alaska up there, but I've been on the Sapphire, the Crown, the Coral, the Royal, the Diamond, the Enchanted. Yeah, 6 Princess ships. And of course, my very first ship ever was working for a company called All in America, kind of our sister company.
Yep.
There was a little tiny ship called the Volendam. That was my first.
I was on the Bean Dam.
Oh, no
I
kidding.
love the Bean Dam, but they don't have it anymore.
You heard about their new ship they've come up with now?
Which one?
So Princess has the Sun, that's the new one, but
Yeah,
All in
the
America
Sun and
has a
Sun.
new one
What's
called the
the-
Claude Van Dam. It's very nice. It's. Would you believe the Beaver
Okay,
Dam? How about the Give a Dam?
that would be a
the
good
Give a Dam. It's a ship you can care
That
about.
would be a good one for Hall in
Yeah.
America. Okay. I was gonna say, for this kind of itinerary, the thing about the Sapphire Princess that beats the Royal is the outdoor promenade deck. And so for some of my viewers, you know that the promenade deck is, well, could be my favorite part of the ship. And the Royal Princess doesn't have that. So,
We have little parts of it. Little parts.
yeah, but you can't do like full
You
walks
couldn't
around.
do laps.
And I have to say, like with this itinerary and the scenery, it's been awesome walking outside.
It is a great spot to get out the wind.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like the inside of the Royal Boat. It's like beautiful. I love that ship. I love this ship too. Isn't that Princess's new slogan?
I love this. Yeah.
Next question then, because you've been in Alaska and South America. They're similar, but they're different.
They are.
If you had to pick just one itinerary, which one would you pick? Say you only get to go on one cruise.
Antarctica. 100%.
Oh.
I used to love Alaska, and Alaska was, I love Alaska so much that I hope to retire someday in Skagway.
Really?
Absolutely. But the first time I was part of the Antarctic team in the 2022-2023 season, it just changed my life. It is unbelievable. If you like Alaska, concentrate that feeling times 10.
No way.
And instead of 1 day in Glacier Bay, you get 4 days in Antarctica on the peninsula. You see the perfect pirate island. You see the spot where Shackleton clung to the rocks to survive. You can see the footprints of where Scott came through. You know, it's phenomenal to me to think that these places still exist on the planet, and it is so pristine. The International Association of Antarctic Tour Operators, IATO, does a really good job managing this area and keeping it for science, for heritage, and just you can't find a Starbucks, a Walmart, or a McDonald's anywhere. Let's put it that way. And that's a good thing.
Okay, have you heard anything about different ecosystems in Antarctica? I'm talking like deep in Antarctica. And have you heard about a mountain or a pyramid?
Yeah. So now we're getting to the good stuff. Okay.
Yeah, this is
so,
okay. So you have heard.
When you're the naturalist and you're coming off the Antarctic run, I have people talk to me about everything from hidden military bases to where they keep the Transformers to aliens. There is a giant mountain that's in roughly the middle of Antarctica. Mount Terabas, I think is what it's called. Forgive me if that's not the right name. It's been a long day. It does look very pyramid-like, oddly pyramid-like. And coming up to it, if you read some of Scott's journals, he talks about how as soon as you can see this mountain, you feel like you're getting closer to it and closer to it, but then it has this field of landmine-like crevasses in front of you. So it is death on top of death on top of death. To get through there, to get around there, is just treacherous land. Navigated by emperor penguins, no problem. In fact, Scott, with some of his early explorations, were to find the rookeries of the emperor penguins to get an egg to bring back for scientific study.
Wow.
And they did.
Okay.
Which is just crazy to think that.
We're going to go back to that story in a little bit.
Sure.
This is what I heard. There's a pyramid. I don't know. Is it 2 miles or 2 kilometers by 2 kilometers, 2 kilometers, 2 kilometers?
I mean, the mountain's actually bigger than that.
Is there any
the
way?
mountain's significantly bigger than that.
Wow.
It does look oddly shaped.
Yeah.
If there are aliens living there. And I'm a big fan of that TV show, Ancient Aliens.
Yeah,
You know the guy with the hair?
Yeah. You know what? I did an Ancient Alien cruise, by the way.
Oh, no kidding.
Well, they
Oh.
called it Ancient Mysteries.
My
But that
mom-
was super cool because we had like David Childress was on
Yeah.
there, and Mike Vera, and who was the other guy that came on? Anyway, that was fun.
My mom loved those shows. Yeah, Ancient Aliens, good stuff.
Yeah.
If there are ancient aliens that live in a pyramid in Antarctica, I can guarantee they have terrible Wi-Fi because it's only been in the past couple of months that Starlink got down there. I think for a lot of people, you have to go down there to see for yourself. I think
I do want to go there and see for myself.
it's amazing.
Okay, so I want to go see for myself.
Here's a weird thing. In Antarctica, you find weirdly contrasting things. So you find some of the most desolate desert country on the planet. It is the world's largest desert. Underneath all that ice are volcanoes, and in some spots along the coast where there's fossils, you find fossilized palm trees, which is bizarre.
Yes, I heard there was a tropical area there. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but that would be cool to go check it out.
It's not bad.
I don't know if you can do that on a cruise ship. I don't think the cruise ships.
Not on the big cruise ships. If you go with one of the other companies that is smaller, under 250 people,
Yeah.
they do landings in Antarctica. It is very expensive, but for some people that's part of their bucket list.
Right.
And you can go to see these places. The thing though, and I'm a rock hound, is that ethically you can't take rocks from Antarctica.
Okay.
Antarctica is owned by no one, but is for everyone. With that in mind, I would love. I have sat in the presence of Antarcticans, actual researchers that were from Fort Lockroy, and it would be very easy for me to say, slip a pebble in your stone, I'll make a ring out of it, it'll be a family ring. But that betrays the spirit of Antarctica.
True.
Right? This has to be kept pristine, and it's a very sensitive spot, and there's also very important research going on.
Admiral Byrd. Have you heard about Admiral Byrd?
No.
Or his secret diaries?
No. Tell me more.
Yeah, so I guess he was an admiral. I don't know if he was in the U.S. Navy, some U.S. admiral. I guess you'd have to be in the Navy to be an admiral. I don't know how that
I hope
works.
so.
I don't know enough about military. Anyway, he had an expedition to Antarctica. I think maybe 2 expeditions to Antarctica.
Wow.
And he kept a secret diary. And I think they published it. I don't know if it was his children who published it or not. So it talks about some things.
This is something that I think anybody in the field of science must admit. Otherwise, they're being disingenuous and probably lying to you. There are things out there that are truly beyond our imagination. And imagine a couple hundred years ago trying to explain to somebody what a penguin is. It's a flightless bird that can fly underwater. It can survive unbelievably minus 50, minus 60, minus 70 degrees. Where Celsius and Fahrenheit doesn't matter. It's just colder than anything can survive. And they're commonplace now, right?
Yeah.
Imagine talking to the Wright brothers about what a stealth bomber is, you know, or what space travel is to Magellan. I think we must, in science, within reason and with careful consideration, open ourselves up to the possibility of fantastic things. But with fantastic claims comes fantastic proof, right? You need to see this stuff and explore it. And if birds saw something interesting, it might be worthwhile investigating.
I might order the book from Amazon when I get home from this trip.
Well, yeah.
And I'm also thinking about booking the Antarctica cruise.
It's wonderful. Princess does it 3 times a year usually, and it's from kind of the middle of November through December into the first half of January. That's Antarctic summertime. You do not want to be down there any other time of the year.
Oh no.
April for them is a rough go of it. It's very dark and it's very cold.
When you go to Antarctica, are you going by Cape Horn?
So it depends which side you start, because you started in South America.
Right. Oh, so it's rougher going east. No, it's rougher going westbound.
Yes, because you're going against
that's
the wind,
something to
against
think
the
about.
currents. So on this cruise right now, we started in Buenos Aires. We went up to Montevideo in Uruguay. We went down to Puerto Madryn in Argentina, down to Stanley. We went across over to Cape Horn. Now, if we were on the Antarctic run, we would then go straight down past Elephant Island, to Admiralty Island, to Deception Island, down the Banana Belt, about as far as Port Lockroy, just about to 65 degrees south. Then we come back. Sometimes, if you're lucky, if the captain is willing and the weather's right, we'll go out to see that massive iceberg, the A23A iceberg. Have you heard about this thing?
Well, I only heard about it in your lecture.
Yeah, it's the size of New York. It's unbelievable.
Wow, I would love to see that.
When you look at satellite images, it doesn't look real. And then when you see it, when it's from horizon to horizon, it's hard to believe this is something floating. It's fantastic. It split off of Antarctica, the Ross Ice Shelf, I believe, in 1986. It hit ground, it froze, and so it was stuck there for a long time. And in 2023, it popped up and started going northward, and it's making its way to the middle of the Atlantic, maybe to the southern tip of Africa. Who knows?
Oh. Do you think it's going to be available for viewing next year?
There's a good chance, yeah. Yeah, the ice takes a long time to break up. If it stays as a whole chunk, it'll last longer. When it breaks up, the surface area increases, and it can absorb heat more. But I think it'll be an attraction for seagoing vessels for a few years.
Like Robert said, this is my understanding. If you want to go on the Antarctica cruise with Princess, you don't actually step onto the continent, right?
No,
it's
we
more
do scenic
viewing
cruising. Yeah.
and scenic cruising. And then if you want to go on, step on the land, then you got to consider a different one. I don't know if
a Viking does it, Lindblad does it, Cork does it, Herzegovina. I always say their name wrong.
Yeah.
They're lovely cruise lines. I mean, obviously, I like Princess not just because they
I love
pay my
Princess.
bills, but I do think this is a lovely blend of luxury and opulence. But with everyday folks, they're lovely to talk to, and they want to go and explore the world. The best part of cruising, absolutely for me, is visiting with people from around the world and hearing their stories, hearing what they're excited about, seeing their photos. And I think Princess, of all the lines that I've seen and been involved with, Princess does that really, really well.
They do.
I feel like I'm selling for Princess. I just work here.
You know what? I've cruised on 10 different cruise lines
Wow.
as of today. Oh yeah.
We should
So
get- we should
Robert,
get you a badge.
Robert doesn't know this. Oh, I don't have my medallion on. I'm elite.
Oh,
Princess, did you
oh.
know? I get free laundry.
Madame. Wow. Wow. Even I don't get
Yeah.
free laundry.
So I am a fan of Princess,
Yeah.
but I'm not loyal to any particular brand. I like Holland America as well. So like I said, the Bean Dam. I took Bean Dam Fort Lauderdale to Rio.
Oh, nice. Wow.
And then it ended in Rio during Carnival,
Wow.
which was intentional, by the way.
Did you dance in any of the parades?
It was incredible. The parade starts at midnight. It goes till 5 a.m.
Yep.
Just an unbelievable experience. And the cool part was we got tickets and we sat with the locals.
Very
We
cool.
weren't in the
Very
tourist
cool.
area, and the locals, they know all the music and
That's
they're
awesome.
dancing. But you can't move. Like
That's awesome.
that's your spot for the whole night till 5 a.m. You can't move. But we're not on the beat there right now. Let's get back to a penguin story.
Sure.
I didn't hear from you. I heard a rumor. Somebody wasn't so nice with one of the penguins on the previous cruise. Are you allowed to talk about that story?
So it wasn't our cruise.
Oh, it wasn't our cruise.
It was
Okay.
another company's cruise. The story goes that there was a young fella, 20, 25, something like that,
Mhm.
who decided it would be a good idea to take a Magellanic penguin chick and put it in his pocket and come back on the ship. And the ship left the Falkland Islands and went up to Ushuaia, and then it went through until it got to Punta Arenas, thereabouts. He was doing this intentionally. He wanted a pet or I don't know, something. Was hiding the penguin chick in his bathroom shower. Kept the room on Do Not Disturb. Eventually they found out. Massive fines, that kind of stuff. The bird apparently was turned over to the authorities and is now an ambassador bird. With penguins, oftentimes their babies are picked off by a bird called a skua. Think of like the Darth Vader of seagulls. They're a predator, and that's what they do. And the mums and the dads will oftentimes just, if there's time left, they'll go and gestate another egg, do that sort of thing. But usually it's once the babies are gone, they're gone. In fact, that's why some of these species will have 2, if not sometimes 3 babies. Is that the first one is sort of a sacrifice to skua feud, and then the other one they can raise up. Anyway, so this one is not something you can just bring it back, and on top of that, you have to worry about diseases. You have to worry about all sorts of logistics of international laws and da-da-da-da-da. So suffice to say, this cruiser is the type of band that all cruise companies would know about. And if he ever wants to get on a pleasure boat, he better bring a paddle. If you remember anything from this interview, please don't steal the penguins.
No.
In fact, it's a good idea to stay about 15 feet away from the penguins.
Okay, 15 feet. Okay.
It's protection for you, but it's also protection for them. There is a avian flu that exists in the world.
Right.
Right now, globally, we're trying to slow down the spread of these avian flus. Now, this avian flu cannot be contracted by humans. You will not get the penguin sniffles. But you can, on the bottom of your shoes, or if you put your camera bag down, or your backpack, or you kneel down on the ground, you pick up a little bit of the penguin poop, to be honest, and you can transport it from colony to colony to colony. And that's how we think a lot of these epidemics of flu are coming through. And I try my best in my shows to educate people to say, if you're going to go see the penguins, stay back. Don't go roll in the penguin poop. It's strange you have to tell people that, but some people, when they want to see penguins, the first thing they do is they get down low.
And you're
Lay on the
no
ground.
doubt you're
Yeah.
going to be laying in penguin poop.
You will.
If you're on
100%.
it's everywhere.
It is. If you ate sushi all the time, there's one thing you would have as a consequence, and that would be pooping. So a lot of times I tell people, stay back. If the penguins approach you, kind of, stay back a little bit. Any kind of an animal interaction for a wild animal is not an interaction they win. Humans take our picture, maybe you feed them a little treat. What it does is it teaches them that humans are safe, or even worse, a source of food. And, some animals are impatient. They'll come and they'll squeak, or they'll peck, or they'll bite you to try to get the food. Give me the cookie. Come on, Gladys. And I think let them be wild. Let them observe you from a distance, you observe them from a distance. It's the kindest thing you can do.
Good advice. Thank you, Robert. I know he likes penguins. But I have to show you something. All right, I brought this with me. Look what I got on this cruise.
A golden duck.
I was lucky enough to get one of
Yes.
these.
I handed
Thank
out
you,
one
Robert.
golden duck. Yes.
And during this interview, look what I found. Something hiding there. By the way, we're in the internet cafe right now.
Internet
Or
cafe.
it's not a cafe, I guess. Just what do we call it? The internet lounge?
Yeah, it's a good spot to sit and visit.
And something you should know on Princess now, I don't know if it's on all ships, but the Sapphire Princess, there's no more internet manager. I guess in this day and age, it's assumed you know how to manage your own internet.
You can always go to the front desk and ask them for help. They're pretty good about it.
Okay. But anyway, see what's lurking here under this one little desk. Who knows how long it's going to be there for, right? It might be there on a future cruise because I'm not posting this video until I get home.
I brought one of my spares.
Yeah.
This is something really special. So in my hand is the object of desire of the entire cruise ship.
Is this the red one?
This is in
The
fact
cosmic duck?
one of the red cosmic ducks.
Yes.
So what I do is I hide them on the cruise ship and give people clues. It's a way to play. It's a way to get people to slow down, to look around the ship, to explore. But the cosmic duck has become something of a legend in itself. I started this on the Crown Princess, and my missus was on board, and Christine and I had great fun recording the duck moving around the ship, and that giving people clues. And eventually somebody found it, but not until about 10 days later. You have to be very tricky with your hiding spots. You don't want to just hide it out in the open. You have to hide it in sneaky spots, but there are rules. You have to hide it in a spot where folks with shoes and with wheels can have access to, so it's fair to everybody. You have to hide it in a place that's between your eye level and your knee level. It can't be anywhere near stairs or anywhere dangerous. I like to hide them inside the ship so they don't blow away. It would break my heart to find one of my ducks sailing past in Antarctica. Basically, as long as the duck can see you and you can see the duck, all's fair. And so with every one of my shows, I give the new clue. And the folks on this cruising have been looking frantically, without success. So
Me included, by the way.
after
Me
our
and my
interview,
shipmate Karen.
well, after our interview, I'm going to go hide this back in its hiding spot. But as of midnight tonight, I'm a bit of a softie, so I'm going to hide them in much easier spots to find because I want to give away the prizes. I go to places like Stanley and I buy little penguin pins, or I'll buy a postcard or fun stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, so we've been looking. It's like I mentioned earlier. This is day 11 out of 14, and nobody's found this red duck yet. And yesterday I was determined. I'm like, I'm not going back to the room until I find this red duck, right? No. It's like, you know.
I promise you they're out there.
But there's right now there's 3 on the go, right?
There's 3.
And they're
Well,
all
technically
kinda...
there's 2. I have the one in my pocket.
Okay, yeah,
But
there's
I'm
2
gonna
right
I'm gonna
now.
put it out as soon as we're done.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
You probably brought it for the interview, right?
I did.
The
I
good
thought
luck
it'd be a good thing to
cosmic
show.
duck. Okay. And then there's also 2 little pink ones here that kind of go with your outfit.
That's right.
Right? Check this out,
I think
right?
it matches, don't you think?
Yeah, it goes great.
Kind of a rose-colored shirt, rose-colored duck.
And they're kind of, if you look, I tried to keep it in the video, so it's right in the corner.
Perfect.
there.
I like that.
I hope that it's in the
that's
video
great.
when I edit it, right? Oh, I'm forgetting like the big major question. How does one become a naturalist on the cruise? Have you been on a cruise before you were offered the position as a naturalist?
No. The closest
Okay.
the closest I had been was the BC ferry system out of Tawasin in southern western British Columbia. I have never been on a formal cruise before, and I tell you what, when I first stepped foot on the Volendam, I did not realize ships could be that big. And looking back on it now, that is a much smaller ship than this one.
Yeah.
And this is a smaller ship than the Royal, and the Royal's even smaller than the Sun. So the Sun's the new one.
The Sun's going to be larger than the Royal.
The Sun is going to be an unbelievable ship.
This is the new Sun, by the way.
Yeah.
There used to be a Sun Princess that's retired, but the new one's coming out.
Yeah, I think I have a friend of mine, Corinne, who's going to be the cruise director on it. And right now they're doing rehearsals and all sorts of things, getting it up and going. They want it so that when it's released to be perfect and everybody to enjoy it. And it's going to be great. It'll be interesting to see it sailing past.
I saw a little bit of a preview of the ship. It looks like they're targeting more younger families or younger demographic.
I think the cruise industry is changing, and it was something that I think a lot of us realized over COVID. Life is not about stuff. It's about experiences. It's about enjoying good times with the people you love and that are closest to you. And so certain ships lend themselves to certain itineraries. For instance, this ship is a very strong ship. It's a good size. It can take out Alaska. It can take out Antarctica, no problem. Other ships, because of their design, will have great places for families to go, great places for kids to go explore. There's a happy medium between having, roving bands of children looking for ducks, screaming and yelling, and having no kids at all. I think there's a happy ground there, and these ships are designed to maintain that. I affectionately call it kid jail upstairs, but it's a spot where youth can go, and there's folks there that'll entertain them, and there's all sorts of different activities for them, so that adults can come and have a quiet time and still enjoy the adult side of what cruising is.
Yeah. Do you know the average age on this itinerary?
Well, it depends who asks. If
Okay.
it's a gentleman who asks me, I'd say the average age is 55 to 60. If a lady asks, I would say 39, and you look like you're underaged. So sometimes that's.
I'm the youngest cruiser on this ship, by the way. No, I'm just kidding. There's there might be about 20 or 30 children.
Yeah,
and-
yeah. Now you have to be careful to say children, because there are.
Well, I'm talking like under 18.
Yeah. There
Or
are
like,
45-year-old children.
Are there any teen? I didn't see too many teenagers. I don't know. Maybe like
They're
one or
sort of
two, if that.
they're kind of afraid of the sunshine. What brings them out at night is the ducks. They love the ducks. So I will go at the back of the horizon court, and I will put some ducks out there, and they'll never admit that they love the ducks. Very stoic, very serious, but they all have ducks in their pockets.
Well, thank you very much, Robert.
You're very welcome. It's been
I
fun.
hope that my audience enjoys this video. I sure enjoyed talking with you.
Yeah,
I
this has been great.
appreciate your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you very much. This has been
Okay,
fun. Take
bye.
care. Now that you've been on 10 different lines, that's amazing. That's wild.
Yeah, this is my 64th cruise right now.
That's wild.
And I have 65 coming up this summer.
Congratulations. What do you enjoy about cruising? What?
Maybe we should keep this rolling, eh?
Sure.
Let's keep it
I'll
rolling.
interview you now.
Yeah. All right.
So 64 cruises, that's a lot of cruises. I mean, you might as well be staff. What do you enjoy about cruising? What is your favorite thing?
I think it's a great way to travel. So this is the thing. I like exploring, so I love seeing new places. But I like the luxury and comfort that a cruise line offers. And I mean, the food's incredible. So this is how a typical day goes. You wake up, say you're in port, you have a nice breakfast, you go off, you explore, you see new places. If you're in the Caribbean, you get to see a different beach every day if that's what you want to do. I like going to see the best beaches, right? That's my thing when I'm in the Caribbean. South America, I want to see the wildlife and the nature. But I also love walking around the outside promenade, and it's like I'm walking on the ocean, right? I mean, you can't get that experience on land.
No.
So I love that. And then I really like going to different countries. So it might be an exotic itinerary, or maybe not. That's okay. But sometimes you don't know what to expect when you're in a foreign land. And let's face it, not all places are as safe as back home. So like for me, I'm in Canada. So it's all relative, like where are you coming from? The community I live in, you could go for a walk at night. It's no problem. You could go for a walk at night by yourself. No one's going to try and rob you. I mean, maybe, but I mean, I don't hear about anything.
Depends if you had ducks on you, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, like you don't tell them you have a gold duck on you. Anyway, it helps relieve some anxiety about your safety, because at night you're on the ship. So you don't have to worry about the nighttime safety aspect of things. And then also it's like, where are you sleeping, and with the running water, like, do I need bottled water to brush my teeth? You don't have to worry about any of that on the ship. You come on the ship and you have all the comforts that you're used to.
And you can get
So
food,
I like that.
You can get food 24 hours a day.
Oh, for sure.
The International Cafe is one of my favorite spots for that. 2 o'clock in the morning, you want a sandwich? Perfect.
Yeah. And Princess has the best prosciutto. Anyway, the value, too. You can't beat the value. You're getting a hotel room that floats around the world. You unpack once. They make your bed every day. Actually, they'll make your bed twice a day if you need them to. They're cleaning for you twice a day. Some cruise lines have moved to once a day, but still, once a day is fantastic. Unlimited food, and the quality of the food is fantastic. Like, it's fantastic.
I'm a big fan, as you can tell.
And then, here's the best part. After you have dinner, you go and you get entertained. And you can be entertained all night long if you want. Or if you don't want to be entertained, that's fine too. But the quality of entertainment is great because there's a variety of things. So there's something for everyone. There's all different kinds of bands, so all different genres of music. And the singers and dancers on Princess Cruise Line are
Top notch, yeah.
And then they bring on these guest entertainers and
Well, and for us contractors to be able to come out to these itineraries and see the world is amazing. I feel very, very fortunate for this opportunity. I think, in a way, you should never be ashamed of privilege or of good fortune, so long as you use it for good in a way that benefits others as well. And so I try to share my enthusiasm in my shows. I try to share my love of nature and big and small things. And I think it's working. I think every once in a while somebody goes, oh, I didn't know there was a glacier out there today, or I didn't know there was penguins I could go see, or maybe they just find a duck, and this is their best part of their experience. But I do know that when I talk to people and I share my enthusiasm, it's infectious in a good way. My hope was that they would take these experiences, go home and share them, and talk to their neighbors, talk to their kids, their friends, their grandkids even, and maybe someday, as was done with me long time ago, my father and my grandfather were sitting at a table, it would have been Penticton, I think, in British Columbia, talking about something to do with their old car. And I remember this phrase, Alcan Highway, the Alaska-Canada Highway. Remember nothing else about the conversation. Alcan Highway, weird phrase, stuck in my head until eventually someday an opportunity came up for me to go work on cruise ships as a naturalist in Alaska. Oh, the Alaska-Canada Highway. Oh, and that began in 2007 my journey of becoming a naturalist, a nature geek at sea. And it's funny when you tell these stories. We, as human beings, we are storytelling creatures. When you tell these stories, you would be very surprised to learn who is listening and what kind of impact that can have in somebody's life.
for sure. So, are you a crew member? Or are
No,
you
no,
a guest?
so
Are you a guest
as a-
entertainer, or like what? Are you the hybrid?
I'm kind of in between. So don't get me wrong. If the captain points at me and says jump, I would say off what deck, sir. But my official title as a guest entertainer, I am a passenger status. I'm not part of, let's say, the crew drills. I'm not part of the firefighting team, a medical response team. But I do offer shows on board. I'm a paid employee, that sort of stuff. It's homeostasis, right? It's a nice little ecological niche that I fill. I can be amongst the passengers. I oftentimes I'm allowed a passenger cabin, and I eat with the passengers. I visit with folks, but at the same time, I get to see a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff. I work with the entertainment department. I get to do shows. I'm doing a game show tonight. I'm on the Wake Show. It's lovely.
Right. So then, have you had a crew cabin and a passenger cabin?
I have.
So what's the difference?
So space, mostly space. A lot of the crew cabins are built for you to just sleep in. Sleep, store your stuff, maybe get ready in the morning. You're busy on the ship, you're working. Anybody who's crew, if you have spare time, you're either sleeping, eating, or you're off the ship going for a walk somewhere. A lot of folks like to talk, now that we have Starlink, talk to their family back home, that sort of stuff. The crew cabins are not designed to have you lounge in there and maybe watch TV and that kind of stuff. It's not really, there are TVs in them. The passenger cabins are designed for you to be a home away from home. So you can go, you can put your feet up, you can relax, there's other chairs, there's a desk, there's all sorts of stuff. On my very first contract, you're going to giggle about this, I was unsure of what I would get for a cabin, and I'd read online that the best crew cabins were on deck 4. The deck 4 is the level just above the water, and this is for crew cabins. They're nice, and I made in my contract, I made them right. We'll get his first sailings cabin on deck 4. I wanted one of the good ones.
You pre-negotiated.
I thought they were going to stick me at the back of a laundry room somewhere, like this.
Yeah.
So, with a strange look on his face, my manager said, okay, took me out of the passenger cabin and put me in a crew.
No.
In fact, I bumped out other crew members, and I go to my cabin, and there's bunk beds, and I'm thinking, what is this? Are there other naturalists? No. But it was something that was in the contract, and it's funny, when you're a rookie, the sort of silly mistakes you make.
So you forfeited your passenger cabin.
I did. But I truly feel bad that I bumped some people out of their cabin. They probably had to pack up all their wares, move somewhere else, probably behind the laundry room, just so some rookie tree hugger could come in and get a good cabin. So I'm very much more go with the flow now. I embrace the philosophy of the dead goldfish. Go with the flow. Just go with the flow.
How long are you going to be on the Sapphire Princess? And then after Sapphire Princess, what happens next? Are you staying on Princess Cruise Lines? Are you going somewhere else?
So as a contractor, I can go work for whomever I want. But I'm somebody who values loyalty. And so Princess has been very good to me. And I am very comfortable having blocks of time that I set aside for them. I'm here until April 5th. We finished the South America season going back and forth. We end up in Los Angeles. There was some talk the other day about maybe having me stay on board and do part of the Open Pacific, going to some of the islands, Hawaii, that kind of stuff. Or I could be going home, spending 3 weeks with my lovely nieces and nephews. Or who knows? I know on April 27th, I'm due on the Royal Princess in Japan to do a couple weeks in Japan, and then to go through the Alaska season. Now, the Alaska season on the Royal, that's my bread and butter. I love that. But more and more, this will be my second year now where I'm almost entirely at sea.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do you get friends and family to come visit you on the ship?
I have had a couple attempts at it. So I've had, the missus comes out to visit me, and it's lovely. I've also had disastrous stories. Are you ready for a sad story? This is true. This story. Last year at the end, 2 years ago at the end of the Alaska season, I finally convinced my mom to come out on the Royal Princess, and we were docked out of Vancouver. And so my brothers helped her, get on the airplane. She flew in. I think it was Abbotsford. Stayed with my aunt in North Delta, and it was great. It was great. I was getting up that morning to go and jump in a taxi and go get her to bring her on board. I even had a little plastic whale with me, a little humpback whale. And unfortunately, during the night, she did a stroke, and a debilitating stroke. And but Mom was tough. Patty was her name. Is still her name, I suppose. My brothers rallied around me. Their wives were fantastic. Their kids were great. We had this great support network. We eventually got Mom back to Alberta, and she was able to tough it out for about a month and a half. And then, as all good things, they come to an end, and she passed in her sleep with no pain. And when you come to my shows, one of the very first things I do is I take a little plastic 6-inch humpback whale and I put it up on the stage.
I noticed, yeah.
That's to remind me that even though my mom's gone, I'm still adventuring. I'm adventuring for her. And whenever I have really good times at sea, I think about her. For instance, she loved teapots. Right? Her kitchen was just covered in teapots. More teapots than she could ever drink tea out of. And you go to a little souvenir store, and you see a teapot. And I take a moment to stop, and I think about her, and I smile. She loved the color peach. So whenever I see a peach sunset, So I've had both lovely times bringing my missus on board, most recently to Hawaii. It was great. But I've also had sad times, and part of the reason why I am loyal to Princess and why I treat them very well is because they treat me very well. I was able to walk off the ship and go and be with my mom that time of week. And that's you don't get that from every company.
Yeah. Well, sorry to hear about your mother.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate your kind words. That's nice.
Do you ever go to tea time? Do you think about your mom when you go to tea time?
I do. I haven't been to the high tea yet. I in my pocket I have an EpiPen. I am an allergy kid, so I'm allergic to nuts. And tea time has all sorts of scrumptious nut things, and also chocolate I can't have.
Okay.
So as much as I want to sit in a room with people that are enjoying delicious little treats and have a carrot stick, I'm trying to lose weight. I think it is possible to lose weight on cruises. I am slowly losing weight. I do a lot of walking. I try to eat as little dessert as I can. But for folks that are just visiting the cruise, go for it. Have the cookies, have some cake, enjoy it. It is some of the best food on the planet.
I've actually been on cruises where I lose weight because I'm more active than I am back home. You're walking a ton.
Yeah.
You have to go find your food. You can't just walk down a little aisle. You gotta you know, walk 500 meters to get it sometimes.
Some of these ships, I live at the very front of the ship, and lunch is at the very back of the ship, and that's a walk sometimes. That's especially if you just want a snack, a little piece of fruit.
There's also all kinds of healthy options, right?
There is.
You can eat healthy too. You don't.
Oh, yeah.
On the shorter cruises, it's like indulge.
Mm-hmm.
But on the longer cruises, you could get into a routine. You know, after so many days, it's like, okay, that novelty wore off. I don't know. Well, actually, just do what you want. You're on holiday.
For a lot of folks, Mrs. Christine, she has celiac disease.
Mm-hmm.
So she cannot have gluten.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not one of these fashionable allergies. No, this is serious.
Mm-hmm.
And when she came on board, there was no problem. The staff bent over backwards to get her special food that would allow her to still enjoy the cruise without just eating, you know, a bunch of broccoli. And for me, with my nut allergies and my chocolate allergy, I've always felt very safe. There's been a few instances where I've had near misses, and in those cases, the medical staff have been great to patch me up. And that was actually my very first day on the Royal Princess. I almost died. You want to hear this is an exclusive, folks. Very first day was April 30th of 2022 on the Royal Princess. We hadn't yet let passengers on. We were in Vancouver Harbor, getting everything ready, kind of doing the rah, back to service, return to service, talking about mask protocols. It was a different time. And I went for kind of an early dinner down to the crew mess. I'm always very careful about what I eat. I see some rice, okay, a little bit of rice, and I see beef stew. And I can see the chunks of beef, and I can see tripe. So it's kind of an interesting traditional beef stew and gravy and everything. A little scoop of that, and I'm sitting down, dip my bun in it, put the bun in my mouth, and instantly, it was like I'm French kissing a jellyfish. Just, it's the sensation of allergic reaction starting. I can taste the metallic.
Oh.
So it's a weird, almost like licking a penny kind of thing. Not that, well, we don't even have pennies, you can't anymore. Like licking a key, a metallic key. So I rush up to the chef, and I said to the chef, "Are there any nuts or chocolate?" And he says, "Let me check." He was very quick about it. Says, "Yep, this is a dish that has peanut butter in it."
Oh.
And it was a Filipino style of beef stew called kare-kare. The Filipino folks on board love this stuff. It's very much that stick to your ribs sense of home cooking of mom, that sort of stuff. Well, first thing I do, EpiPen, save myself with that, have some Benadryl, have some Ventolin. I come out of the kitchen around the corner, and I realize that if you're having an anaphylactic reaction, laying down is a way to help. So I laid down, keeping my blood pressure up. And it just so happens that head of security happened to be walking out. He thought I was an actor in a drill. Who knew? He says, "Are you okay?" And I sort of stare at him, glazed eyes. And they phoned 911. Med staff grabbed me, took me back, patched me up, saved my life. So I have had a lot of history with the Royal Princess.
Wow, they really took care of you.
They did. They're wonderful folks.
Yeah. And it sounds like you have your mom with you.
I do.
On the
I
ship.
do. I see her in all of the good things. My sense of humor, my patience, that sort of stuff. I really see her in my nieces and nephews, and it's funny. I even see it in my brothers. They'll laugh in the way that she laughs, or I'll see, you know, I have one niece in particular, Audrey's her name, who just looks like the spitting image of my mom. And I love it when she's having a good day and she's laughing and she's running around and doing good stuff. My brothers are great about sending me pictures from back home. It helps prevent homesickness.
Yeah.
Was there anything about this itinerary that surprised you? Or
Just
this
okay.
cruising?
You know what? My surprise was how much I loved this the second time around, and how many different things I got to see compared to the first time. That was my surprise. I wouldn't mind going back again.
Something fun, adventure for everybody.
I really enjoyed getting to see those penguins. I didn't get to see the king penguins the first time.
I think when you see penguins for the first time, and especially if it's something like an Adelie penguin or a Gentoo penguin, even a Magellan penguin, and they do that happy little dance, you will fall in love. And I get almost limitless joy out of seeing penguins dancing around and playing with each other, and you know, the mom scolding the babies chasing after the mom for lunch and all that kind of stuff. I could do that for a week of Sundays for free.
Okay, I have a question. What do you say to somebody who thinks that cruising is boring.
You're not paying attention. Carl Sagan had a great quote, and I'm paraphrasing. He said, if you are bored with life, shame on you. You can go one of two directions. You can either look at things more closely, look at the world of cells, of molecules, of microscopic things, and eventually it devolves rather into philosophy. We don't know beyond a certain limit what's happening. Or you can go the other way. You can expand your view. You can look at your entire body, you can look at your city, you can look at your country, you can look at your planet, your solar system, your galaxy, your universe, and then again, it devolves into philosophy because we don't know what there is. There is no excuse to be bored. For a lot of folks that come on these ships, you have an idea. You've watched the YouTubers, you know, Don from Don's Family Vacations. I love his channel. You know, Tony, his
I
channel's
watch
great
their
too.
channels too sometimes.
We
right?
all do. All of
Yeah.
us on the ships watch them as well, and we're delighted when they come on board. They're great folks. But you know, you get this idea of what a cruise ship is.
Yeah.
I would say when you come on board, have what I call a yes holiday. So a yes holiday is one where you come on board, you know you want to do a few things, but at every interesting opportunity, say yes to it. So if you're on board and you happen to be the Hawaiian itinerary and they're saying come and let's learn about ukulele, the answer is yes. Go and meet Tiki Dave and his wife and learn about ukulele. If you're in Antarctica and there's somebody who is giving you a talk on Antarctic birds or the history or poetry or any of that sort of stuff, say yes and go to it. You can always walk out halfway through, but
True.
you can't walk in halfway through if you didn't know how wonderful it was.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
take some time. That's one of the reasons I had ducks, is to get people to slow down and observe things and see what they're missing. If you're bored, you're just not paying attention.
Oh, Robert also has a YouTube channel. So
I do, yes.
If you want to check it out, Robert, what's your YouTube channel?
The Ship Naturalist.
Ship Naturalist. I'll leave a link in my description as
Sure.
well.
Perfect.
Yeah, and Robert has a really cool YouTube video on right now about this itinerary. I don't want to call it an interactive map, but
It's kind of a cartoon journey of our map.
What did you call it? A journey of our map? Or
Interactive journey. Yeah. It's a
like a
thing.
map, yeah.
Just go and see it.
Yeah, just go see it. Okay. Well, thanks for sharing.
You're very welcome.
All right. Take care, everybody. Please subscribe to the channel Cruise and Jules and hit the like. See you in the next video.